Hey Tracers out there, Coach Jimmy Alapag here, ready for my interview.
Okay, so what inspired you to play basketball?
Well, for me, just like probably 99% of Filipino families, me being the youngest of six kids in our family, there was a huge influence from my dad and also my two older brothers. They both played high school and a little bit collegiately, so just being around them, growing up around them, and whether it was just following them to their practices or just watching the old NBA games back in the day at night with all of them. That's really where my love for the game started.
You being short, what motivated you, to keep pushing and not give up because you were playing so much bigger competition and a lot of people tend to fold, but how far you've came and all the achievements you achieved, what kept you going despite the height you had?
It's funny, Trey, because during high school it was actually a really tough time for me because, of course, right when you're in high school, it's cool to be the only kid who's playing on the varsity team as a freshman. But the cool factor goes away pretty fast when the season starts and you're not playing. I ended up being the guy for really the first 3 years of my high school career. The one who would go into the game the last minute or 2 minutes, whether we were winning by 20 or in other cases when we were down 20. So it was a tough time for me, but it's crazy looking back during my time in high school how valuable the lessons I learned, because that was probably the only time in my life where I really wanted to quit. I was the guy coming into practice early in the morning, staying late. And it wasn't affecting me getting more playing time. So, luckily, from the support of my family, I had a long conversation with our head coach, and everyone encouraged me just to keep pushing along and to stay the course. The value of learning to not give up and to keep working hard, really paved the way for me as I got ready for college and then ultimately playing professionally.
You pushed through all those struggles and you finally were able to achieve your goal of playing pro basketball. What was it like to get drafted by Talking Tex when you walked up that stage and heard your name be called?
Oh man, dream come true. Again, I'd gone through so much, from those high school days all the way through college, and then to finally come to Manila, to get drafted with your dad and I. It was an absolute dream come true, and it's funny when you look back and you look at all the work that you've put in and all the sacrifice. It's for moments like that, and incredibly grateful, to the Talk and Text team for my time there, and I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Out of all the championships and experiences you had with Talking Tex, which was the most memorable one that you'll always cherish?
Tough question. I think every championship that we won has its own story. But for me, two stand out. The first one would just be our first championship. Being a part of that first Talking Text team to win a championship for the franchise back in 2003. Really special to be a part of that group, just because with your dad and I being rookies. And being on a very veteran team, being able to just follow those guys and their leadership, they allowed us just to come in and be ourselves and come in and work as hard as we could. And we had our struggles early that season, but ultimately it ended in a great championship run. So the first one stands out, and then of course the second one would be when we won the All Filipino three-peat. Again, just a very special group of guys. We had experienced so much together, both on and off the court, and to kind of have all of that, the chemistry and camaraderie that we built with that group, kind of culminate in being the first team to win the All Filipino 3 straight years, was incredibly special. So kind of tough. Again, every championship has its own story, but those two stand out for sure.
You've played with Gilas countless times, and I'm pretty sure everyone in this country can agree the greatest moment in in Philippine sports was when you hit that 3 versus Korea. So after you hit it, what was going through your mind? What emotions were you feeling? Because that ended the Korean curse, and everyone was crying. It seemed so heartfelt. So what was going on in your mind?
By far the biggest shot I've ever made in my career. Again, and it's really something that you dream about when you're a kid, having that moment and having so much on the line. Not just the championship, but we're really playing for something more than that. Having the opportunity to play for our country and ultimately playing for a spot to be back on the world stage, which is somewhere that our country hadn't been in, I believe it was 40 years. So, to be in that moment is something that you dream about. And it was a shot that I'd practiced hundreds of thousands of times, and got a great screen from my guy Mark Pingris, and if you watch the video, you'll see how long I held my follow through just to get the ball to the basket, and fortunately it dropped. But a very special moment for myself, personally in my career, but more so being able to share it with my brothers on the Gilas team, and ultimately every Filipino around the world.
Kicks it over. Hognapan for 3. No! Battle for the rebound. Picked up by Yusuf. Jimmy for the lead. Yes! Oh! Jimmy ties kay Dick for the all-time three-point list. But more importantly, he gets Meralco a 1-point lead.
Kalimutan muna yung natabla si Alak kay Dick. Ang importante, lumamang sila ng isa.
Wow. What composure by Meralco. Newsom securing a board, locating his captain, and the Mighty Mouse doing what he does best. Jimmy coming up clutch once again. Almost the same spot where Jimmy Alapag hit that magical shot over Korea, just a